Good morning. It is the 16th of November, Wednesday morning, 8:14 a.m. Um, and we are 15 minutes before some major economic news coming out. Take a quick look at that now. It is core retail sales at 8:30 a.m. New York time here on Wednesday, November 16th. Just a quick look at what that is. According to Investopedia, just for anyone that doesn't understand what core retail sales is, it is an economic indicator that tracks the month-to-month increase or decrease in U.S. consumer spending in most retail categories. So that is what core retail sales news reports. Okay, it's coming out at 8:30 a.m. and we can see anything happen at 8:30 a.m. We also have G20 meetings all day, so volatility in the market, which we saw come in at the end of yesterday's New York session, which we'll get into in a second. Starting with our daily overview, our bird's eye overview of our Dow Jones Industrial Average Index, which is what we trade here at Mindful Scalping. By the way, this is by no means financial advice. It is my opinions on the market purely, solely. So here we have the downtrend. We've been looking at our bearish market condition from 0.1 here on the 4th of January, 0.2 on the 27th of April, 0.3 on the 22nd of August, and what was to be 0.4 on the 7th of November, which failed. 0.4 in this bearish trend has failed for it to keep in line with this strong bearish channel. And we had this massive push through with the inflation report release on the 10th, last Thursday. And we've been holding above this channel here. So, the next few days is going to show us what happens. I'm still prepared for a collapse to the downside like this. Okay, sometimes we get a bite into liquidity above what is expected, and then we get that resultant collapse. We're still in a very bearish market here in the US stock market and the global economy overall. But that positive inflation news on Friday really did give the economy a boost, and sentiment is good at the moment for the US economy, which has been reflected here in the Dow Jones Index, which is an index of the top 30 industrial companies. So that's the daily chart, still to the upside, pressure is to the upside. We're holding above 0.4 here, above this sliding resistance level. Okay, and our next target of supply is 34,000, sorry, 34,000 here on the daily chart, but you can see the overall direction of momentum is still to the downside. Okay, that is still the channel. Unless this comes back down here and then bounces out like that, we're still not out of this bearish trajectory downtrend at the moment. 4-hour time frame, bit of a closer view on things. We can see the intraday trend is to the upside. Okay, so this is the overhead. This is what we're doing when we zoom out. We see the overhead sliding resistance level. Okay, this downtrend we were looking at here on the upper on the high time frame. This is zoomed in, and then we're zooming in on this area here. Okay, and we have an uptrend on this area here, holding above this sliding resistance level. Okay, so this is our crux point at the moment. This could, very well at any time just say, hey, cool, we've topped out, and we're going to come back down here. That's why a lot of people, they tend to buy breakouts. If they buy a breakout on the daily, I don't recommend it. This is why we trade such short-term time frames, because I don't want to sit here for the next week with a buy there saying it's broken out, and then it just collapses and rips me to the downside, and I've wasted 2 months of thought. So the uptrend is still intact. Okay, the uptrend is not intact when we see this action. Okay, I need to see that kind of action first, and it will happen quickly. We've learned from previous tops that the waterfalls occur very quickly. Okay, this has not happened yet. We've just been having upswings, so we've had to adjust to the uptrend. But I'm just ever so apprehensive and ever so wary and ready for the resultant waterfall collapse to the downside, and therefore buying at this level here does give me it jitters in my stomach. It gives me cold feet doing so. We've been seeing that action the past couple of days. I'm going to go over that in the 1 minute time frame very shortly. But just looking at the 4 hour at the moment, still at an uptrend. Okay, price could come into this area here and bounce out. During the news this morning, and target our 34,500 supply zone up here, 34,000, which is 0.3. This is 0.3 here. Okay, put that in for visibility. 0.3 on a bearish trend is here in the 4 hour. Okay, so this is 0.4, meant to be 0.4. We've broken through that, and so now we can see it holding here at this what is demand at 33,500. Okay, 33,500 demand. Our major demand zone is being held. So important day, really. It is an important day, an important time in the week to see if this major supply resistance target that's now become demand here holds. Going down to the 1 hour, looking at the 1 hour closer again. All we're doing is just zooming in on this, okay, and just giving our mind a structure to work with, and that's how we trade with method rather than guesswork. See, I've changed the angles and trajectory of my channels a little bit, and so for me now, the channel that's working is this kind of opening up channel, which is suggestive of bigger price action to the upside. You see it started at a small area here, where it's break a structure on the initial channel to the upside, and then continuation and this huge leg up on the 10th during the inflation report. This is the good inflation report that came out for the US economy. We had to smash the upside. Okay, and now I have this channeling action for the past few days. So we've had some nice mean reversion, if you can read our river correctly. But right now, this demand floor here needs to hold 33,500, and it's important that this holds. Okay, so what I want to see for this bullish trend to continue is a bounce out of here. I dare say it'll come down first, dip into this bottom area with 33,200 if it does this, and then jump out to 33,400 supply. Okay, so it'll dip in first, then jump out. Okay, but that's the action that I would say, looking at things at the moment, would be quite possible. I'm also wary of the collapse to the downside, which could occur like that. Okay, and if it dropped down to 3,200, I would dare say that we'd have a significant break of structure, and you can see what that would look like. Quite a significant break of structure to the downside, and then I'd be looking to resume shorting once it was confirmed with the second this kind of action, higher low, and then a new a new lower low after that. That's kind of the action I'm looking for on the 1 hour for a downtrend resumption. We also tend to get spikes to the upside like this before a major collapse to the downside. Okay, that's the kind of price action that occurs. So these are the kind of game plays that could happen at the moment. Right now, this is what I'm looking at. Either we get this bullish dip in to 3,200 and spike up to 34,500, okay, or we get a immediate collapse down to 3,200, or we have a spike up straight up to 3,400 and then that massive collapse. Again, I'm still watching for a collapse. We're not out of the woods. I don't want to get caught into that wishful thinking that we're in a bullish market right now. We can see clearly right now this is a bear trend. Okay, bear trend on the daily time frame for the US30. So there's that all said and done. 1 hour. Let's go to our 1 minute high probability time zones. Again, this is not financial advice at all. This is just the way that I'm looking at the market and trades that I take. I do change my trades throughout the day. Nothing is set in stone. These are my predictions for the morning and to give some guidance on how market structure should look for the day. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it comes down to your skill and your ability to read the market the way I'm showing you and make decisions that feel right for you. Okay, if we look at yesterday, just a quick recap, we see here that I was quite late to the market. I am on my birthday holiday at the moment, so I'm trading literally, they say all the traders that trade from paradise, from the beach, and I've worked very hard to be able to do that. I would love to have my 2 other screens that I have at home to be able to make cleaner decisions and have a better view of everything. But I have been able to trade effectively while being on holiday, which is a beautiful thing. So that does mean that I do sleep in a little bit and enjoy the fact that I'm on a holiday, but I have still shown up and done my analysis and also placed trades and truly set and forgotten them. You can see that it was 9:30 there. This is perfect short trade on Monday morning, which was the day after my birthday, the 14th of November. And yeah, took both trades here and here. Got out for break even on this bottom one down here because I jumped the gun a bit. Yesterday, the second trade here did not take place. Okay, that was just a prediction that we're going to push out of the median to the upside with this grinding action to the downside. And I had an initial trade put in as a long alongside this demand level here, which was outside of the river. Never could have predicted this smash down after lunch. But it occurred, and that's what happens. We had G20 meetings on all day, and so we had this, the grinding action and this fall out of the river, and it's all there to freak out. Nothing's predictable. Every single day is different. That's what trading is. There's no set pattern. It's just putting out our trades in the right zones. And so initially, I think I predicted in the morning on yesterday's analysis that this was the area that I was going to take a trade at. And what I did do is before at this point here in the afternoon, I ascertained that this might possibly dip in here, even into this area here, and then jump out and give me, quite a. I was looking more so at this area of demand. So I had it like this. I put the demand across like that, and then I put this order a little higher here like this. Okay. My take profit was literally there, even closer. And what happened was this obviously smashed down through, went through my initial demand zones. My trade was a little bit lower initially, not much, but a little bit lower. Okay, but I did adjust it towards the end of the day. I thought I was going to get a little nice nick in here, and then I bounce out. Okay, which that's wishful thinking, but it could very well have happened. It's not a bad trade. But of course, what happened is price collapsed after lunchtime down through this trade. I wasn't at the screen. I wasn't aware my trade was on. I was just enjoying my time off, and I'm glad that happened because all this occurred without looking at the screen at all. I didn't have even check my alert. My phone wasn't with me, but my stop loss was all the way down here, so it didn't really dig into that much of a drawdown at all. It was only 50% drawdown for my daily breathing space. But it came down here and then it came back up, but it didn't close my trade. So by the time I came back to the screen, it was down here. And so I still was a negative. However, looking at the price action, I was like, look, it's going to at least retrace to 50% of this daily action during the London session. And I left the trade as is. Now, in hindsight, looking at where it did get to, I did close with 1700. So you can see yesterday the trade that I took was 1700. Okay, that was yesterday's trade. I entered here at the buy limit, and it did not close on the pullback. I actually had to wait until London for it to close, which wasn't ideal. But I was confident in the price action, especially because we're in an uptrend. We had no overnight news during London or Asia that it would feed back up to the upside. But one of the riskier trades I've taken this week, initially this buy limit was set down here at the bottom of the river, and it very well would have closed before the end of the session. And I adjusted it at 11 a.m. and it was just one of those moments where I was like, look, I think it's going to go to this area here of demand. I was previously looking at the bottom area of demand, which was further down around this area. But I moved the trade up. Okay, as you see in my yesterday's analysis that it was lower. I moved it up, and of course, smashed against me. So for me right now, it's just about trusting these outer bands and knowing that, like, just one good trade a day is all you need. So I did open the take profit up a little bit. In hindsight, I should have brought the smartest thing for me to do would have been to bring this back to break even for the end of the session. But I was like, look, I just trusted this price action to at least come back up to the median here, back up to 50% of this movement, and it did. So we can see right now during Asia, though, it's smashing. During the news report, it's smashing to the downside. About to go through our alert. So I'm lucky with this trade. I'm lucky to get out in profit. I still would have got out in not battle. I wouldn't have got out. I would have got out at break even. But the lesson here is, instead of the trade being there, the entry was there, right? Was just to have left it as an initial place down here, and it would have closed with that $1,700 profit if I'd left it in the initial spot, and just realised the price does go to these outer bands quite deep, especially the fact that it had gone outside the upper bands here at the start of the session. It always reciprocates at some point during the day, so even down here we could have been safe trading. So that was yesterday's trades. Still came out with a nice win. Okay, 1,700 minus the $128 swap fee, overnight swap fee, which is to hold the limit order. And just now looking at what's happening, we have the initial push down with news. News has just been released. The core retail sales has just been released, with this push down to the bottom of the river, push back up. There's a directional push at the moment. We don't know what's going to happen. What I do know is that we have major demand here. Okay, major demand here. And we have major supply there, which lines up with the top of the river. Weird day, considering where we are in the overall scheme of things at the moment. We are in this downtrend that has all this room to the upside to go. We can still push all the way up here. Okay, check that I'm still recording. Yes. We have all this upside to push up here. This is the area where we have immediate 1 hour supply. So it could very well shoot up there today. So just looking at what I see at the moment at 8:30 a.m. before the index open is it's just, these are the zones. This is the zone here. I want you to think for yourselves, guys. Like, I'm not going to be checking this today as well. I'm still on holiday. But like, looking at it, that's obviously the zones at the bottom of the river where you could get, I would wait until I do any buying. This is the buy zone. This is not exactly where I put the trade. Play around with this. Remember, I like to put the trade below demand. I want you to think, for yourself here, and think about how you would check this trade, and not just follow exactly where I'm putting these trades or these entry points, because I'm not putting them in. I'm not trading in these exact spots. I'm just putting in a basic plan right now. But that's it, and it's quite, above the demand zone there. Sometimes it works putting it above demand, sometimes it works putting it below demand like that. Considering where the edge of the river is, I'm happy taking a little buy in this area, like that, and before price goes back up to this area of immediate supply. Just going over yesterday as well, I want to point out the fact that, like, if I had traded this supply zone here, see how it became demand, then that if I put my take profit as it originally was in yesterday's video, like this, with the take profit there with the supply, you can see how well that works. This box always closes. That area of supply, demand turns into supply, and it is it is abided by, I guess the best way to say this right now. The supply is confirmed here perfectly 3 times. So what I did do is, like, put my take profit above that area, and of course it didn't hit target, so I got quite lucky in the London session. And I don't ever want this to be about luck. So just to reiterate what we're looking at here, this is the kind of trade zone I'm looking at. The fact that there's demand there, I would put my supply there for this trade and look for price to come back in, bounce out, and take that little chunk there. That would be the trade area I'd be looking at, okay? The kind of trade I'd be looking at for this session. And then up here we have, price again pushing to the upside. Where's our area of demand? Where's our area of demand? here to the left. That's a major supply there. Okay. And then the central supply zone, which we have here. After that, there's nothing really that I'm looking at. Would I expect this area of supply to hold? Yeah, I would be happy putting something. This is the zone for shorting. Okay, and again, practice getting out of bad short positions, so don't be afraid to put these down. Make sure, another thing, make sure your stop loss is dragged out to the maximum. So 4,500 on the 100k account and 9,500 on the 200k account. So you've got plenty of breathing space. I've got a new script coming next week for everybody in my mentorship that will do that for you. But clear as day, simple as we do it. These are the areas that I'm looking at, and just sort of work out what's happening and wait for the index to open and decide how you want to trade these zones. But definitely wait for these outer bands, and you've got a lot of supply through here where you should get some rejection reciprocated on this side. So they're the areas I'm looking at for this morning prior to the index open on Wednesday, the 16th of November, 2022. It's 8:37 a.m. We've just had the core retail sales release. Nothing's really much happened. Waiting for 9:30. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day trading. Cheers.